to make you 2 costumes between now and tomorrow. I ask your excellency's pardon, but this is quite a French demand. For the next week you will not find a single tailor who would consent to sew 6 buttons on your waistcoat if you paid him a crown apiece for each button. Then I must give up the idea. No, we have them ready-made. Leave all to me, and tomorrow, when you awake, you shall find a collection of costumes with which you will be satisfied. My dear Albert, said Franz, leave all to our host. He has already proved himself full of resources. Let us dine quietly, and afterwards go and see l'Italien à Alger. Agreed, returned Albert. But remember, Signor Pastrini, that both my friend and myself attach the greatest importance to having tomorrow the costumes we asked for. The host again assured them that they might rely on him, and that their wishes should be attended to, upon which Franz and Albert mounted to their apartments, and proceeded to disencumber themselves of their costumes. Albert, as he took off his dress, carefully preserved the bunches of violets. It was his token reserved for the morrow. The 2 friends sat down to table, but they could not refrain from remarking the difference between the Count of Monte Cristo's table and that of Signor Pastrini. Truth compelled Franz, in spite of the dislike he seemed to have taken to the Count, to confess that the advantage was not on Pastrini's side. During dessert, the servant inquired what time they wished for the carriage. Albert and Franz looked at each other, fearing really to abuse the Count's kindness. The servant understood them. His Excellency the Count of Monte Cristo had, he said, given positive orders that the carriage was to remain at their lordships' orders all day, and they could therefore dispose of it without fear of indiscretion. Okay, an interesting line caught my eye in here as a sort of confirmation of where we are with things, as they are sitting down to eat and comparing the food and table that, not the physical table, but the setting, the spread of food between Dante's setup and Signor Pastrini's setup. Franz admits that Dante has the better food, but right in the middle of that sentence, truth compelled Franz, in spite of the dislike he seemed to have taken to the Count, to confess the advantage was not on Pastrini's side. The dislike he seemed to have taken to the Count, huh? So, I mean, I think we got that by this point, but this is confirming that. And I'm curious what all of your experience is. For those of you who are reading along with this show day after day and haven't read this before, where are you with Franz? Do you also find yourself not quite knowing from moment to moment what Franz's motivation is, where his alignment is? Even though we're in his perspective, I feel like for me, I could kind of guess that he had started to look unfavorably upon Dante. This is confirmation of it, but I'm still missing the why. I can make my own assertions. I went on a huge rant about Dante's incredibly nihilistic outlook on life. I wouldn't want to align myself with someone like that. That would have someone fall out of favor in my eyes. But we don't know that much about Franz. Is that the reason why? Is it the sole reason why? Is it an amalgamation of things? I feel like I'm missing that, and I'm curious if I'm just missing something, if I'm alone in that. For those of you who have read it, I mean, don't spoil it for the rest of us. Though I have a whole thing on spoiler cultures, which I think I've even touched on before. But if you know where this is going and it answers this, do you think this is properly setting us on the right path, or do you feel like there's something missing here? I always wonder about this, and not to mention our other show, Movie Memory Machine, which you all have listened to recently, where a lot of times what will happen with a movie that we cover, and Truman particularly pulls this out, where he's like, when we get into discussion mode on the episodes, we'll sometimes talk about the plot, we'll talk about characters, and in that conversation, a bunch of things come up that don't make sense. But then he'll say, I didn't think about those things while watching the movie, and therefore the movie wins. And I think about that a lot. in any kind of story, whether it's a book, a movie, a TV show, where I'm like, particularly things that require cliffhangers and twists and withholding information from the audience, there's the initial experience you have going through it where you're relying on the idea that things don't need to make sense now because they will later. But depending on how long that thing is, if it's a long book, if it's a long TV show, if it's a long and convoluted movie, by the time it's done, if you went back and looked at these things, were they all actively contributing to the end result, or are they here just for effect in the moment? So, I mean, not having the psychological hinge of Franz, is that in service of something bigger that hasn't been revealed yet? Not necessarily in terms of like plot twists, but just thematically or, spectacally. Is it that withholding it from us, the audience, doing something? Or is this where there's an actual criticism for Dumas? Like, hey, I feel like you're missing a little bit here with a empathetic tie to Franz. And I don't think we're supposed to be empathetic with Albert at all. I mean, I haven't come fully around on him. I still find him to be somewhat obnoxious, but like, he's a little less brazen and actively irritating to me. But I don't think we're supposed to align with him at all. I mean, he is just kind of a supporting character in Franz's story. Although I suppose last chapter and this one, they are kind of a buddy pair, but we are so rooted in Franz's perspective that it's impossible to see Albert as anything but the sidekick to Franz, even if Albert is the target here. God, I feel stupid about that. Okay, that's all I've got for today. I mean, I don't know that there's much in this passage that we need to discuss. More of demonstrations of Dante's wealth and resources that are available to them. Albert is taking more advantage of them without reservation than Franz is, but Franz isn't standing in his way. So let's see if they go to the theater. Let's see what they do with this carriage. Let's see why they want these costumes and what they're going to do with them. Join me here tomorrow with a little bit more of Book 36. Until then, okay, goodbye.